Good morning, room 131, Boker Tov. It's time for circle time. Are we ready? Crisscross applesauce, hands in our laps, listening ears on, and eyes on our teacher. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, and how do you do? Good morning to Frankie. Good morning to Evangeline. Good morning to Xander. Good morning to Adeline. Good morning to Benjamin. Good morning to Ethan A. Good morning to Kenton. Good morning to Ava. Good morning to Isaac. Good morning to Ellie. Good morning to Noah. Good morning to Emmy. Good morning to Nathan. Good morning, Ethan L. Good morning to Aurora. Good morning, Miss Rachel. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, and how do you do? Shalom, friends. How are you today? I hope you're great today. Happy Thursday, the day before Shabbat, Friday. We're going to do our months of the year song. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, 12 months of the year. January, February, March, April. It's the month of April. And we're going to do our Days of the Week song. Days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. There's Sunday and there's Monday, there's Tuesday and there's Wednesday, there's Thursday and there's Friday, and then there's Saturday. Days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week, days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today is Thursday. That makes tomorrow Shabbat, Friday. Look outside. What does the weather look like? It looks kind of cloudy today. Maybe the sun will come out. I'm not sure. But it looks a little cloudy today. So we'll see. Fall, winter, spring. We're in the season of spring. The year here is 2020. And the year in Israel is 5780. Alrighty, my friends. So this week we are talking about pond life. So we talked about, first we started to talk about bodies of water. So we'll review the bodies of water. We have canals, waterfalls, beaches, deltas, bays, lakes, rivers, oceans, and ponds. And remember, what is a pond? A pond is a round body of water surrounded by land. So there's no rivers or streams coming off of it. All right, so we talked about things that live in a pond. So today, I have a little baggie of animals. And we're going to go through them and see what lives in a pond and what doesn't. So let's see. Let's dump them out and let's see. So, fish. Do fish live in a pond? Sure do. Fish definitely live in a pond. And I have different types of fish here. Some of these look like they might be tropical fish. Some of them. But fish definitely live in a pond. This was another thing we were talking about. Like salamanders, lizards. Do lizards live in a pond? Sure do. You can find salamanders at a pond right near the JCC. They like to live in the pond. How about gorillas? Do gorillas live in a pond? No, gorillas do not live in a pond. How about alligators? Do alligators live in a pond? Not in the ponds here in Delaware. Definitely not. How about snakes? Can snakes live in a pond? Sure can. Snakes can definitely live in a pond. How about dinosaurs? Do dinosaurs even live on the earth anymore? No. What happened to the dinosaurs? They're extinct. So they definitely do not live in ponds. How about an octopus? Can you find an octopus in the pond? No, I think an octopus lives in the ocean. Definitely not in a pond. How about Turtles. Can we find turtles in a pond? Sure can. Miss Rachel found one when I went on my walk. We definitely can find turtles in a pond. How about frogs? Can we find frogs in a pond? Of course. We definitely can find frogs in a pond. And we're going to talk about the life cycle of a frog. Today, we're going to review it. How about snails? Can snails live in a pond? Sure can. You can definitely find snails in a pond. How about bats? Do bats live in a pond? I don't think so. I don't think bats live in a pond. What about, this is a little different. It's not an octopus. It's called a squid. Do squids live in a pond? I don't think so. Squids live in the ocean. How about a kangaroo? Can a kangaroo live in a pond? No, kangaroos might like to jump around a pond, maybe in Australia, but not here. And how about sharks? Do we find sharks in a pond? No, sharks are definitely saltwater. They like to live in the ocean. So there's some animals that we find in ponds. Remember, ponds are freshwater that do not have salt. And there's some animals that we find either in the jungle who don't live in ponds, or there's some animals that like to live in saltwater. So some animals that we had like to live in the pond. Now, I remember today we're going to talk about the life cycle of a frog, but I wanted to show you because I was talking about how frogs don't all have to be green. There's different kinds of frogs that blend in with their environment where they live, like in the rainforest and things like that. So frogs can come out different colors. Frogs can definitely be different colors so they can blend in or camouflage with where they live. So frogs don't all have to be green, or they can also be a different color green. Some can be light green, some green. So it all depends on where they live. If they live in a pond, more than likely they'll be green frogs. But if they live out in, like some frogs are tree frogs, and they might want to blend in with the bark on the tree, so they might be green and brown. Or if that tree has blue flowers, they might want to blend in with the blue, or they might want to look like bugs so other people don't want to eat them. So frogs can come in all different colors. Later today, I'm going to put a YouTube video out of how many frogs can float on a lily pad. So check that out. And we'll also talk about our pond water versus our regular water. But before we do all that, we're going to count on our calendar. Let's count our days. I'm going to get our book out of the way that we're going to read today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Today is Thursday, April 23rd. All right, and we're going to review the big word we learned this week, metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is when something changes from a young stage to an older stage. So from an immature or a young stage to an adult or an older stage, which would be like a frog. So a frog has a life cycle. And here would be the life cycle of the frog. And remember what we talked about? Frogs start as an egg. When they hatch, they come out as a tadpole. They turn into a froglet. And then they turn into a frog. So an egg, a tadpole, which has a tail, but then they start to get legs, so they turn into a froglet, but they still have a tail. And then when they turn into an adult frog, they lose the tail altogether, and they just hop. So the life cycle of a frog, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 stages of a frog. All right. So other things that can live in a pond would be fish. Fish are definitely in a pond because some things like birds that come to the pond might need something to eat, and they like to eat fish. So fish definitely live in a pond, but also fish help the ecosystem in the pond, which means it helps the pond keep the oxygen in. It helps the pond be able to sustain other types of life, which means it helps the other things live at the pond, like the ducks and the turtles and the frogs and all the other things, the bugs, everything else that likes to live at the pond. So it helps out with the big ecosystem, which is the circle of life. I don't know if you listen to Lion King, that's definitely what's on Lion King. We're going to read a story called Fish is Fish. Alrighty, this is a big book, so I'm going to hold it down and then I'll show you the pictures. At the edge of the woods, there was a pond, and there was a minnow and a tadpole swam among the weeds. They were inseparable friends. So the tadpole and the minnow were best friends. One morning, the tadpole discovered that during the night he had grown 2 legs. That means he's a froglet. Look, he said triumphantly. Look, I am a frog. Nonsense, said the minnow. How could you be a frog if only last night you were a little fish just like me? They argued and argued until finally the tadpole said, frogs are frogs and fish is fish, and that's that. So that little fish has no idea that frog is going to change. Now, do fish change? Fish don't go through metamorphosis, just frogs. Well, not just frogs. Butterflies, like caterpillars to butterflies, that's another type of metamorphosis. And we'll talk about that when we do insects. In the weeks that followed, the tadpole grew tiny front legs and his tail got smaller and smaller. Do you think the fish was confused? The fish was probably wondering, what's going on with this frog? And then one fine day, a real frog now, he climbed out of the water and onto the grassy bank. Wait a minute. Fish can't climb out of water. Fish have to stay in the water. How can this frog climb out? The fish was definitely really confused. The minnow, too, had grown and become a full-grown fish. He often wondered where his 4-footed friend had gone. But days and weeks went by and the frog did not return. Oh, no. Do you think the fish was happy or sad? He looks a little sad. He's missing his friend. Then one day, with a happy splash that shook the weeds, the frog jumped into the pond. Where have you been? Said the fish excitedly. I have been around the world, hopping here and there, said the frog. I have seen extraordinary things. Yay, the fish looks so happy that his frog friend is back. Like what? Asked the fish. Birds, said the frog mysteriously. Birds! And he told the fish about the birds who had wings and 2 legs and many, many colors. As the frog talked, his friend saw the birds fly through his mind like large feathered fish. What else? Said the fish impatiently. Cows, said the frog. Cows, they have 4 legs, horns, eat grass, and carry pink bags of milk. So the interesting thing is when the fish sees the pictures of the animals, he's picturing them like fish. Isn't that funny? The frog looks like, the cow looks like a fish. The birds look like fish. That's so funny that he thinks of them all as fish. And people, said the frog, men, women, and children. And he talked and talked until it was dark in the pond. But the picture in the fish's mind was full of lights and colors and marvelous things. He couldn't sleep. Ah, if he could only jump about like his friend and see the wonderful world. Look, even the people look like fish. That is so funny. All the things that the frog explained to the fish look like fish. Isn't that silly? And so the days went by. The frog had gone and the fish just laid there, dreaming about birds in flight, grazing cows, and those strange animals all dressed up that his friend called people. One day he finally decided that come what may, he must see them too. And so with a mighty whack of his tail, he jumped clear out of the water and onto the bank. Uh-oh, but what's going to happen? Can fish live outside of water? Frogs can, but fish can't. What do you think's going to happen? He landed in the dry, warm grass, and there he laid, gasping for air, unable to breathe or to move. Help! He groaned. Help me. I can't live outside the water. Fish have gills on their body, and they need the water to get their oxygen from. That's how they get their oxygen. Luckily, the frog who had been hunting butterflies nearby saw him, and with all his strength, he pushed him back in the pond. Whew. Thank goodness the frog was there to save him. Still stunned, the fish floated about for an instant. Then he breathed deeply, letting the clean, cool water run through his gills. Now he felt weightless again, and with ever so slight motion of the tail, he could move to and fro, up and down as before. The sun rays reached down within the weeds and gently shifted patches of luminous color. The world was surely the most beautiful of all worlds. He smiled at his friend the frog, who sat watching him from a lily leaf. You were right, he said. Fish is fish. Yeah. Fish live in the water and frogs can live on land. The end. So it just goes to show that fish have to live in water because they have gills. And once the frog is born, they have to live in water. But as they get older, they get to go off on land. So isn't that really cool? All right, friends. Well, that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow on our Zoom call. But I will also be putting out a YouTube video later. Like I said, don't forget to watch how many frogs can float on a lily pad. And pond water versus fresh water. Alrighty, we're going to sing Shalom Haverim. Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom, Leitraut, Leitraut, Shalom, Shalom. Goodbye, my friends, goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, till we meet again, till we meet again. Goodbye, goodbye. Shalom, friends. I'll see you later. Bye.